So hopefully this works.
Looks like we are live.
It would help if I unmuted my mic.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be nice.
All right, how's everyone doing tonight? I am Todd McFarland. If you do not know who I am the coach and coordinator for Taft High School, as well as this year picking up Steinmetz High School. I'm also one of the admins for the IHSEA. With me today is Andy Mendez. If you want to tell a little bit about yourself.
My name is Andy Mendez, and just in case if I forget my name, it's written right under me. I run the Mattia Valley High School eSports program, and maybe soon the Naperville North High School eSports program. And I do streaming and graphics here at IHSEA.
Thank you very much. So today we're going to talk about a lot of different subjects, kind of what we're planning to do. We'll answer some questions here and now, and then we'll also set up a time frame for when we're going to be updating. We're hoping to turn this into a podcast to help new coaches, new sponsors, new advisors to be able to use this as a platform to help create their clubs, and then also to keep everyone informed of what's going on with the IHSEA.
It looks like Dave says my mic isn't picking up very loudly.
Yeah, let me see if I can turn you up a little bit. All right, you are at max volume.
Maximum volume. Sounds good.
Let me see if I can turn up Discord as well. It should be all the way up. No, we're just starting. We just did introductions.
We're just starting. No issues. Just trying to get some technical things out of the way.
Yep. It's been a while since I streamed, so.
Me too. Yeah, it's been such a long time. I kind of went through a hiatus after I moved my stuff to a different part of the house. It's just a lot cooler down here. But I mean, as you guys can see, there's a mess behind me, so try to ignore that.
Hey, you're in a basement. It's a nice little spot there.
Yeah, it is. It is honestly, and I'm right next to the router, so that's also amazing.
That's the most important part.
Exactly, exactly. It's not quite your den, but it's close. One day I'll get there.
Yeah. I'm just looking for one file, and then I'll be all set to go. If you guys have any questions, go ahead. Thank you, Dave, for letting us know. Sounds better. We'll try to fix it, fine tune it for next time. Our goal, like I said, is to do this. I think we said originally every 2 weeks. We'll have to see how it goes as we go along. Yeah. And as we figure out our schedules and everything. There it is. I was looking for that for the longest time, and it was literally right there. So thanks for everyone for being here. We'll give everyone else a little bit of time too, because I know how everyone's running late. We got some people in here. I know there's probably going to be a bunch more coming in. Part of me also, I'm trying to get over a cold as well. So if I mute my mic and turn my head, that would be why.
I told him he wasn't allowed to be sick, but I mean, here we are.
Yeah, no, that does not work. Not when you start school. Everyone gets sick at the beginning of school.
Oh,
those teachers
definitely.
Out
there. Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
All right, 1 second.
Sure. So thanks everybody for joining us. Yeah, still trying to get things set up here and just letting everybody flow in. It looks like we got a question here, Todd. What are later stages into the tournament looking like? Will it be at Robert Morris University again? Does this apply to Overwatch as well?
Yeah, so we're still trying to figure out the venue. We definitely will have it in some place. We haven't solidified any place yet. That'll be in the next couple months that we solidify our venue and make those arrangements. But yeah, we're hoping to have it at a location and also add Overwatch to that event. So we'll see how it works out and what is going to happen for the location. But we will have Overwatch there. We might cut back on the JV part of it, just because we want to focus more on varsity and let JV more be the gear up for varsity. So that's the whole idea behind that.
Yeah,
But we definitely are gonna have Overwatch at least the finals. Hopefully, bring at least four teams to that location.
sounds really great. Looks like here I'm the teacher from GHS. Welcome, welcome. I'm actually meeting with my admin tomorrow to finalize everything. Any advice on students playing M-rated games? Ooh, that's a tough one. I personally have yet to approach my admin about M-rated games. We don't play Call of Duty or any of the kind of shooter games. Right now, we focus more on League. Just starting this year, we got Overwatch approved too, which I don't think Overwatch is M-rated. I don't know. There's a ton. Let's see. Overwatch. Yes, RB. But either way, we yeah, no, it's rated T15. So we have not gotten any M-rated games approved yet. I don't know how it is over there at Taft. What you got?
Yeah, I've kind of avoided it as well. We started some groups together for some of the other games like Rainbow Six Siege and CS:GO, but we haven't went the full way and went with M-rated games. If I was to go about it, what I wanted to do was basically create a permission slip that explicitly says what an M-rated game is and make sure that the parents sign it so that they know what their student is participating in. In that way, and then also make sure that the admin knows that there are mature themes in it, but that's not what the game necessarily is about. That's not why they're playing it. I think focusing on the teamwork aspect of it, and how much skill it takes to play these games at the higher levels is the best way to go about it. So I would focus on that, and then just make sure that they're aware exactly of what it is. Especially at Taft, we have a lot. We have actually seventh and eighth graders in the building. So for me, it's more like I'm gonna stay a little bit farther away because, seventh graders could be 11 years old depending on what it is. So we don't want to, subject those 11-year-olds if they're in the room while those M-rated games are being played. So that's something we haven't stepped over yet. But we've basically created groups so that they can unofficially play together, and it's on the practice because if it does come up and we see a good interest in it, that we might add the M-rated games.
That's a good way to do it. Yeah. So it looks like Dave Croissant here is president for the DePaul Prep eSports here. Wanted to ask for details about the start of the season, dates, registration, and any other important info. Thank you. That's
Yeah,
all
we'll
you
talk.
got.
Yeah, we'll talk about a little bit of that in a little bit. We'll let some more people join up here. We have some stuff to announce today. I don't think we're going to announce everything because we don't know the official starting dates yet, but we have at least a time frame of about when it'll start.
Sounds good. Rogue Leader again asks, I asked because a ton of my students are interested in Siege, but I plan to run these as a club teams where, okay, yeah, they play as a group independent of my direct supervision.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
so yeah, that's a great way to do it. I know that just personally coming from District 204, that things are a little bit more tight on our end because the district wants to know exactly what we're doing, who represents us, and what kind of name they're making for our school. So I did that I was able to do that with Smash Bros because we had enough kids that wanted to play Smash Bros, especially because they can go play independently. So they were able to get jerseys and play at events. It's not directly with my supervision, but they did have to sign like kind of a waiver that said, you understand that while you're wearing our jersey, you're representing Matia Valley, and obviously we recognize you for your efforts. And then obviously we're there as sponsors to try to cherish and nurture their growth as far as a player goes. So even if you don't know a whole lot about the game too, I think that's a great way to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I suggest is just making sure that the parents know about it, the administration knows about it. As long as everyone signs off on it, that at least covers most of the bases. But yeah, as for official groups, we do not have an official group for Siege or CS:GO, even though they're pretty popular right now.
Siege is growing in popularity and would be good for approval to be in leagues such as this. Also, I like the Blackhawks too, Todd, number one. Hey,
Yes, go Hawks.
go Hawks. Um, yeah, so yeah, games like Siege and I don't know really where Fortnite's growth is right now. It depends on who you ask. Me, in my opinion, it sounds like Fortnite players are kind of distancing themselves away, especially with all these new battle royales coming out. But again, it depends all on popularity. That's how I run my club, and I think kind of how we're gonna gauge it as IHSEA is concerned. Is as long as there's interest, we're going to try our hardest to kind of allocate for that.
Right. I mean, it helps too now with the announcement today with PS4 being able to be played with everyone. I think that is a great step in the right direction. So that's coming along. So now if they would just get on and make it so you can do custom servers, I think that would be the next step.
Definitely, definitely.
So
Hello, I am one of the students founding the esports club at Glenbrook North. And my question is, what kind of equipment do you guys play on? Do you have your players bring stuff from home or use school computers, etc.? Do you want to go ahead and go first? Because I can answer this afterwards.
no, you go ahead.
Okay, so as far as Matia Valley goes, we're not actually permitted to play any of the games on campus because of the restrictions with networking and security. So that's the answer that we've gotten from district, and I'm again eternally grateful that they allow us to have our club. However, they're not very open to listening to what ports need to be open and what how many packets are being sent back and forth. Um, so that's the only thing we're not allowed to play at school. So the way I've always structured it is I tell my kids to go home, eat, and do their homework first, and then we schedule practice. Usually for us, last year it was about 6 o'clock because that's what worked for our kids specifically. But I would just kind of take the time to listen to your players' schedules and organize something based around that. So I mean, we found success in our program not having to practice at school. Although, if you're able to practice at school, I would definitely go about doing that. I mean, I would take advantage of that as much as possible because that's kind of what you'll be experiencing when you'll be, live at an event. Um, as far as what kind of equipment, your school equipment should be fine as long as you guys are running on desktops and not the new like Chromebooks. Um, Especially for League. I'm just talking about League specifically. Is a very lightweight game. I'm sure that if your tech, your IT allows it, they can bring their own peripherals. But again, it's all depending on your district, your school, your principal, and kind of how you can work around that.
Yeah, totally. We're lucky enough at Taft to actually have our principal really be looking forward to doing it. So he actually went and purchased us computers, a whole gaming arena. You can see it on Taft Esports Twitter page. We have 12 gaming computers for students and then one streaming machine as well. So we're able to stream straight from school. We've done one event so far. We're planning on doing at least one more this year to keep to fundraise for Extra Life, which is really good to do. But yeah, we have 13 full setup, all accessories included in that, including the X-Racer chairs for that arena. The principal said he'd go all out if we're going to do it. And we're actually hopefully going to be doing something similar, maybe not as crazy at Steinmetz as well over the next year. Hopefully due to some lucky funds coming in from one of the neighborhood programs, which is really awesome that they're willing to support us because they see how good and how beneficial it can be. So we do play on our own computers mostly at home for games, but we do practice at least one day a week at school, if not two, depending on the week. Lately, it's only been one, just due to schedules like the past year. But we have had years where we've practiced two times at school. And before that, we did play on just whatever. I basically went to the tech department and said, "Hey, what are the fastest computers we have in the school?" And we were playing League on, I think it was like i7s with 8 gigs of RAM, but no video card. So it was a toss up. They were able to play. We had to turn some settings down. But League can play on just about anything. Just might not look pretty when you're at school, but you could play it on almost any computer as long as you have approval from the school and the ports are open and it's actually productive.
Yep.
Sometimes it's not productive to play at school if you don't have your headphones and everything else with there as well.
Right.
So
Next question here is from Rogue Leader again. Any thoughts on doing Rocket League in IHSEA?
Rocket League definitely is a possibility. I don't know if we'll do anything this year yet. We're still trying to find more admins and teachers that want to get involved in it, that know some of these games. That way, we're not, me and Andy we're basically league players. We play other stuff here and there, but League is the game that we know. So before we add Rocket League, we want to add someone that is very familiar with Rocket League, or at least some of the competitive scene, to make sure that we're not just jumping to something that we can't control. One of the big problems is some of these leagues that pop up and add all of these sports at all these games at once, and then they're mismanaged and not run correctly because they're way too big too fast. So this year we're starting with Overwatch. We might also add in like a Smash tournament or something else, like a one-off weekend tournament, something of that sort. But we're not ready to support too many new games yet.
Great. Here we have, as a student of Guilford High, we were lucky enough to get money from the district to get laptops on the network. That's really good. Yeah, that's you guys are very fortunate to be able to have that. Again, it's just kind of a matter of who you're working with and who's above you in the district. How do you keep track of who is playing in practice if offsite? So for me, I would literally just hop on League, and I would see who's on and who's not. If we're subbing in players, or if we're getting everyone has a chance to play or practice. What was good is definitely setting a schedule is kind of important. You can't just really be like, okay, you guys need to practice 2 or 3 times a week and go, because it gets very disorganized really fast. So another great thing is Discord. When you get on Discord and you can see, their channel and how many people are in the channel, you can definitely tell if they're having a productive practice or they're slacking off or somebody didn't show up or whatever reason. And then I would reach out to those kids who didn't show up and be like, hey, you remember, this is a reminder, you need to show up to practice. What happened. If there was some circumstance, of course they, it just depends. But I would definitely make sure that the kids are practicing in your school Discord, because that helped a lot for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for all the practices we schedule, I try to be there online for them, and then I'll actually be coaching them from the side. If you're a league player, obviously that makes sense to do it. You can watch it from, you can spectate their game with a short delay, so you can watch what they're doing, fairly live, so you can comment on things. Also, just making sure you have elect a good captain or a good leader. I mean, if you're not actually hands-on coaching, if you're more in charge of it and you want to be involved in it, just make sure that there's a good captain that would be able to help out, and be able to let hey, this guy didn't show up for practice, or this guy's being rude, and then also just being on the Discord so that you can see what the kids are online. If they're on Discord, if they're practicing, they're going to be voice communicating, and more than likely they'll be using Discord for that. So you'll be able to actually see who's live and online at that time.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good way. Here we've got the league specs posted. Yep, like I presented all that to the district, and like I said, depending on who you've got in your line of, I don't know how to say that. It might work, it might not. Okay, yeah, that's unfortunate, but it's still good. You guys are adapting. Our activities director is actually pushing us to practice at school. So yeah, again, all about administration and the people, your activities directors. So this is really good. I'm glad to hear about that for you guys. Are we going to go to best of threes set yet? I assume this is for league. That's a Todd question.
Sorry, had to cough. First, go back to all one. Yeah, so it's you basically have to have a good communication with also the tech department, because most buildings have some sort of engineering program or computer programming that have actually better computers than the rest of the school. It's more about finding them and making sure that the teachers and the tech department is okay with you using them. If by chance you don't have them, yeah, it's unfortunate. But definitely start thinking about different fundraising ideas, hitting up local businesses or local game shops and being like, hey, we want to do this. How can you guys help us? Maybe we can have an event at your place and we get a cut of the the money that's made that day and see what you can do. You kind of have to come up with creative ways to fundraise for it. It's possible within a year to be able to get some sort of fund to get some parts or some computers going, at least from a bare bones. But definitely hard to get like a 5 or 6 machine setup coming from $0 if you're not getting any help. But definitely there's so many groups out there that are willing to help out and grow this industry. You kind of just have to search out and find them.
Definitely.
And then to the best of threes, I don't know if we'll go to best of threes. Scheduling wise, best of twos work. It sucks that there's ties with it, but it gives you still a chance to adapt. It's not a one-off game, and you can set a block of time saying, "Hey, we start at this time. We'll be done in 2 hours max." So especially kids if they have homework or family stuff, we don't have to worry about them. Well, if it goes to a game 3, I might not be able to. So we'll look at the option, but I think scheduling wise, it works a lot better with the best of twos just because we can say this block of time is 4 games this year.
Yeah, great answer. Flynn asks, just curious about any information on Overwatch this year.
Yeah, we're definitely be playing Overwatch on PC. 100% sure on that. We're still trying to figure out if we can do consoles with them not being able to play together. We'd have to pick a platform. And we haven't completely decided on that yet. We'll be sending out a survey out to everyone who registered for this year in order to find out what you guys would want to play. So as we get closer to the deadline, if there's enough players on either Xbox or PlayStation to warrant a league or maybe even a tournament, then we will talk about that. But we have nothing to announce at the moment.
Great. So as I am new to IHSEA, what do I need to do to register? What are the fees and what info do you need?
Yeah, so I guess we can start talking about that now. So we don't have official registration up for the tournament yet. We do have a new interest form for everyone for this year to fill out. The command should be ! Interest. I don't know if it's working. May or may not be working. It is not working at the moment. Unless I spelled it wrong.
I think I've got the IHSEA website up, I think. Oh, I did.
It's not on the website yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just changed the bot for today. I have not got to update the website. It will be up. Hopefully by next week. I'm a little busy this weekend with something I can't talk about wholly. Yeah, it is not working. I will just copy the link for everyone, and if anyone can recopy it. So have your if you're a sponsor, go ahead and fill this out. We want more teachers to fill it out. If not, students, if they're I only want students to fill it out if there is no sponsor. So if you can do that. If you're in here now, it's not that long. I think it's only like 2 pages. I try to keep it short and simple for the interest form, just basically like the old one. But it will be up on the website hopefully next week.
Great, yeah. So go ahead and fill out this form. In fact, I haven't filled it out for Mattia yet.
Yeah, it's literally live as of this moment right now. I just shared it right now.
I will do that right after the stream.
And so as for the fees this year, we're doing it a little bit different. We are doing a yearly fee this year. So it'll be $50 to register your school for the whole year, and that will be for any game, for any competition in the tournament. With that $50, what you get is a $25 credit to enter the tournament. So once you pay that $50, you actually get $25 credit this year to enter a tournament. So the entry fees will be the same as last year. So varsity, if you enter a varsity team, it'll be $50 for each tournament, whether it's League or Overwatch. And then it'll be $25 for any JV teams. Your school can only have one varsity team for each game, and you can have as many JV teams as you want. The idea of the JV teams is these are kids who want to get practice, who want to play against other competitive teams, but might not be ready for the big leagues yet. So we want to make sure we give everyone practice. You might even end up playing your own team, depending on how the bracket works. I want to try and avoid that if possible this year, because it kind of doesn't make sense to play against your own team for ratings. But it'll kind of be like last year where we'll have a bunch of JV teams and then just the one team from each school for varsity. So $50 covers the whole year. You get that $25 credit, which can apply wherever you want, either varsity teams, or if you're not doing varsity, it'll cover a free JV team, or it'll cover half of the varsity team. So depending on how many teams you want to enter and invest in, then that's how much your school would have to pay. But there's going to be a $50 flat fee to register this year. As for the times for registration, we'll probably open that up end of November, sometime around Thanksgiving, to actually register for the year and then for our tournaments. The tournaments will start probably towards January. I haven't figured out the whole schedule. I have to double check the spring breaks for the suburban schools, the suburban districts. So once I figure that out, and then we can finalize the time. But they will start sometime in January after spring break. Nichols, it's not $100 because you do get $25 credit on your registration. So after you pay the $50, you only have to pay another $25 for a varsity team, so $75.
Right.
So if that's all you have, then yeah, then it's a little expensive. But as you add more in, then it's not that bad. We're just trying to recover some of our costs right now. All of the stuff that we've done for it has basically been out of pocket. Any money that we collect for tournaments all goes back into either tournament prizes or renting the facility or paying for any fees or anything that we have to pay for our tournaments. So the $50 registration is basically for us to make sure this stays active and then possibly to increase our pool, maybe pay for some stuff to be a little more professional than we have been in the past.
Yeah, so what Rogue Leader just mentioned is what I was about to say. Obviously, it's just asking for about $5 to $10 per player, which is definitely doable. And it's just again to recover some of the things that we did last year. Last year we had such a great event, but obviously we want to keep going up from there, and so that's where these fees come from. But yeah, $5 to $10 per player, and then this also gives an opportunity for them to kind of understand the responsibility of being in esports and not being like a blow off, because then once they feel like they're investing even just $5, kids are going to feel like that they're actually a part of a club. It's compared to a sports fee, which is upwards of $300, per player, right?
Yeah,
because
depending on what school you're at, for sure.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we want to make
I think
sure that
missed.
we are keeping up on what's going on, and the more money we get, the more we're able to do. I mean, it kind of gives us that little leeway where it's like, hey, maybe we can put something on staff to do these certain things. It's also what you can do is talk to your activities directors and see if there's any funds that are available. I mean, even if they just cover the $50 registration fee, that's at least $50 less that everyone else would have to pay.
That's right.
And start small and let them know that, hey, we want to do this. Is there any way that we can get this taken care of?
Did we? I don't think we talked about. Clam Sparkle made a comment here. What are what are you most excited to see come out of this year's IHSEA tournament?
It's going to be my most interesting thing to see where the teams are. I mean, we've had a bunch of seniors graduate that we've been playing with now for 4 years. This is my 5th year in the program, so to see some of these kids that were freshmen, see them that first year, now they're gone, and see where these teams are, and just to see the growth. When I was doing the numbers yesterday, we have had 78 schools fill out our interest form over the past year and change since we opened it up last summer. 78
Yeah.
schools in just Illinois that are interested in playing esports, which is ridiculous considering when we first started. I started with like 12 to 13 schools. So I
Yeah.
mean, the most exciting thing for me is just to see how this is growing, and then also to offer the opportunities to our students to be able to participate in this as well, which we haven't really talked about too much yet, and maybe we can get into it in a little bit. But we
Yeah. You said. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
You said 5 years, and it hit me. I was like, wow, 5 years ago is also when I started, getting involved in high school esports, and it's grown so much in just 5 years. In some ways it feels like it was just last year, but in other ways we've gone through so many tournaments and renditions of of different kinds of tournaments. And I remember when we first started out in the Aurora area, we were like one of the first teams that came about. It was Matia Valley, Oswego East, and then Oswego High School, and Wabansi Valley had teams. And that was just the four of us in a small league that we ran, like just a small intramural league. But that was like, one of the bigger moments in high school esports history as far as like for our organization goes. So it's been 5 years, but I mean, we've, again, like you said, 70 plus schools joining the, filling out interest forms is like super great, because now we've got wide variety of tournaments and possibilities for teams, especially with the kids that are gone. Like I have one kid from the first yeah, I know. I only have one kid that is here for the past 4 years. The rest of them are brand new. I've got a team basically a freshman, which is, are we going to be great? We'll see. But are they going to have fun, and are they going to learn a lot about esports? Is kind of the bigger thing. So I'm really excited, and just hearing from different colleges that are interested in picking up esports players, and then obviously what we're doing here at the IHSEA is I'm really excited for them. It hasn't really been that long since I've been in high school, and then I was when I was competing in like gaming, and it's come a long way.
Yeah,
It's definitely come a long way.
yeah, and the other thing is, my other big thing is just to make sure that you guys, the kids here are offered opportunities in college, like whether it's playing or whether it's participating in their clubs at their schools. Like that's what I want to see. I want to see our players. One day, I want to see one of our players be on a pro team. I want to see one
Yeah,
of our players be like a starter on
definitely.
C9 and and whatnot. Like that's my dream, is to see one of our players do so well. Whether it's through us or through just their own sheer determination, but they participated with us and watched them grow into a pro player.
Definitely. Looks like here, who provides the PCs for the tournaments?
So for the tournaments, for the weekly games, those are played on your own time, either at your school or at home, depending on how it is. The last 2 years, we've had our tournament finals at Robert Morris. It's still to be determined whether we're going to do that this year again or not. It's looking good, but we'll have to see. There's a couple of things that we want to get finalized before we actually decide on it or not. Just because we want to keep improving, we don't want to keep it stagnated in. Uh, we don't, we want to keep it growing, and if that means moving to a different location, then we'll have to see how it goes. So,
Yeah. And then here, have you had college scouts watch your streamed matches? Yes, we've had them watch our stream matches. They came to our live event last year, and they're always contacting us on Twitter. I don't know about you guys at TAF, but I get like, at least three or four a month, just different colleges inquiring about our seniors, especially last year, and then this year saying, hey, are your freshmen interested in playing esports professionally? Um, yeah, so we get a lot of people that reach out to us, and that's because we're involved in as much as possible here in Illinois.
yeah, and I believe we have something like 15 or 20 recruiters in the Discord, so
Yeah.
you can contact them directly. Depending on what schools. I mean, we have UIC, we have, I believe Loyola, DePaul is in there.
Hmm.
Um,
We have some out of state schools too.
yeah, lots of out of
All
state
the
schools. I always try to go
schools
with
are.
the ones that are in
Yeah.
state, just because
Yeah.
a lot of our students are more than likely to go there. But yeah, that's what the recruiting channel is about, is for you to be able to get a hold of them, and most of them post like a message in there so that they have, where is it? Yeah, they have posted messages in there about what their school's about and things like that. So feel free, if you see them on there, reach out to them and let them know, hey, I might be interested. Can we set up a visit? Can we tour your facilities when we go?
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, that's up to you guys and your parents if you want to talk to them and figure out if that's something you guys want to do.
Yeah, and I think what's really great is that building these relationships with these colleges and their recruiters, especially relationships with their esports presidents as well. I know that Illinois Wesleyan just opened up their new location at the college, and it's a beautiful facility. And they have been saying, hey, do you guys want to do like a field trip or something, or maybe during the weekend, whatever works best for you guys, to come tour our facility, talk to our players, and play some games like that. That is an amazing opportunity for. I mean, imagine you as a freshman getting to do something like that. So, and then I like what GHS Pancake says here. Even though I was only plat, I have been messaged by like 5 colleges so far in the past month or two. So again, they're looking for not only players that are already good, but players with like a track of growth that they want to see succeed, especially under their program and for them to go to their school. So,
Yeah, you
yeah,
definitely don't have to be master or challenger, diamond one to be able to participate. They're looking at students who are willing to learn and willing to listen and that have some skill and able to play. Yeah, if you're bronze five, you're probably not going to be able to make it on one of these college teams. But some of these schools are starting to recruit for kids to be involved, whether it's being analyst or Twitch streamers or be moderators in their community, things like that, where they're actually giving scholarships for it. And there's a big push to do that because these programs aren't just run by themselves, and it takes so many people to do it. And it would be great to give college kids experience to do that and also go to school and get a degree. So the best thing to do is to just be involved, and that's kind of one of the things that I want to do with the IHSEA is if you want to help us with anything, we're willing to take it. I would love for any other coaches out there to talk to their journalism department and say, hey, if you have anyone interested in writing for esports, we'd love to do articles. We would love to have biographies written about these students and these teams and the stories that happen over the course of the year. I mean, that's what makes this tournament fun. Taft and Oak Park River Forest have a great rivalry because of something that happened 2 years ago. And it's kind of just been memed on since then. But that's kind of what makes this league fun is that we
yeah,
know the schools that are around and we can have that rivalry because we played them, we beat them. So next time we go and see them because they're in our neighborhood, we'd be like, hey, we killed you guys at league.
yeah.
And just,
That relationship exists between Matia Valley and Oswego East for sure.
right, yeah, because you
So
guys have
it's
played
not
each
what.
other so many times that
Yes, yes, they were in our first year. When we competed at at like our local tournaments, they were always there, and obviously we did lose to them a few times, but we did beat them a few times. So it's really good, and especially form like seeing those kids also form relationships with each other. All of my graduates are friends with all of Amy's graduates. Amy is the sponsor over at Oswego East, so they're all friends, and it's really cool to see they hang out like whenever they'll be on league together, they climb together. It's a really cool experience to see. And they wouldn't have otherwise, experienced something like that if they weren't playing on an esports team. So,
yeah, definitely,
yeah,
yeah, and that's just the best thing about it is just is just getting to watch these stories grow throughout the year. I mean, look at with last year now. I don't know if there would be much of a team left at Palatine because they were all seniors, but now 2 years in a row, they've lost in the championship game. The first year against Taft, and then
hmm
last year against Oswego East. I mean, they had challenger level mid laner that has been scouted by the pros, but they still ended up losing. So to a team that was mostly like diamond and plat. Like I think they had like 3 diamond and maybe 2 plat on their team, and they ended up
yeah,
beating them. It shows that if you have the number one player in the league, doesn't mean you will win. Just like with uh, Jones College Prep going out early in the tournament to OPRF, they really just showed up that game, and Jones didn't have their practice down, and OPRF might not have been practiced much more than them, but on that day, OPRF came out, and that's kind of the fun of this
yeah,
tournament.
yeah. It's. I mean, I don't know how many of you are like here for anything league related anyway, or if you're following with like the pros. It's like a lot like the Faker story. Faker's like number one in the league, always known as the best. SKT is not even at Worlds this year, so there's there's a lot to be said about the competition in this game for sure. I think we have a few questions to be answered. Did you already answer how would I be able to get my name out there?
Um, the
Coleus 123.
Are you looking for Coleus? Are you looking for like colleges? What are you looking for in particular? I mean, like I said, in the recruiting channel is the best way to get your voice out there. You can just leave a message, like say your rank, what you're interested in, what majors you might be, and see what goes off, or you can contact them directly if you want to. Um, Overall, I mean, this tournament is a big deal. We had 11 schools that showed up to the tournament to actually watch it and talk to students about going there.
Yeah,
So it's a good time to now start those conversations for those that were juniors or sophomores or freshmen last year that got to talk to them. and establish that relationship. If you're a senior, your time is picked now. A lot of these schools will take people all the way up until the very end that they possibly can because they're looking for players and they want people to be dedicated. So,
Yeah, definitely. Um, where have I? What was that? Just what permissions do you need to get from your school in order to be able to run social media for your team? As far as we did from Atia, we were able to just talk to our assistant principal. She was the head of activities, and we were just like, "Hey, we want to open up a Twitter account. How does that sound?" And she was like, "Fine. Just make sure that it's everything's school appropriate, obviously, and that it's constantly being monitored by either me or my other co-sponsor." Um, so yeah, as long as you're keeping track of it and making sure that if it's student run, making sure that you pick someone that you trust and that will post only relevant information on your Twitter. And then if it's obviously if it's sponsor run, then you have less to worry about, but just make sure that you're on top of making sure that you're posting about your events, because obviously just opening up a page and not using it doesn't help. Um, so yeah.
yeah, I mean, that definitely is the thing is talk to administration, talk to your activities director, find out what their policies are because they might have it where it can't be student run, or maybe you have to label it as the student organization or student run, but definitely talk with them to get the permission. Ours is sponsor run, so we don't really have to worry about that as much. Um, so they at our school they kind of want everyone to make a Twitter and post about it because they really want the social media to draw the kids to the school. Since in Chicago they have a little bit more choice than in suburb schools where you're stuck going to that school. But yeah, that's definitely what they want us to do in at my school. No, Miro Project, I don't actually run the league club on Fridays, so that's a different teacher that runs that. I'm more for the esports team. So it'll still go on.
When do league tournaments in IHSEA start?
Yeah, everything for us will start in January. Whether League, Overwatch, we're gonna run them at the same time, just so everyone can get their teams together. We know the beginning of the year is hectic, and some people have barely even met yet with their club, so we don't like to rush them into anything. There'll be a few tournaments coming up this fall that you can enter in to get some more experience as a team in competitive environment. But IHSEA will start in January.
Great. Looks like we've got more talking in between the Matia Valley and Osugo East rivalry. That was one of the more iconic rivalries in the league, in my opinion. Obviously,
Yeah, but we're definitely looking to set up you guys to help participate in as much as you can here. And if you want to shoutcast, if you want to write up articles, if you want to do some graphic work for us, let us know. I mean, we're willing to give you guys experience to be able to do this. We want to turn this into an avenue so that you can help out your portfolio or help out with what you enjoy doing, whether it's analyst or coaching or podcasting. Like I said, we're going to try and do this every couple of weeks so that we can be in constant contact with you guys if you have questions or things pop up, and also do themed events. I know we want to talk about like how to start a club and things like that, but we might save that for another time just so we don't go too long. Because I know there was still some things that I wanted to talk about. I don't know about what you wanted to talk about, if you had anything else besides that, or if anyone has any questions, feel free to write them in chat, and we've been answering some all the way through. I don't know how many new people we have today, but thank you for being here, whether you're new or not.
looks like thank you for the help, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, thanks, guys. Dave Croissant, you've been great. Thank you. Rogue Leader, after hearing all of this, I really want to get my meeting tomorrow done so I can get this going. Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting as like a sponsor, as a student, as a player. It's an incredible thing that is going on just on a high school level. Competitive video games. So who would have known?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole idea, is to create this community with you guys, so that we can do it. I do want to talk about one thing real quick for those that are still here before anyone starts leaving. We're looking to have a game and a scrim schedule for each game. So basically, we would have a scrim day. So everyone, if you can be on practice that day, this will be the one day we can all be on scrims because we know how hard it is to actually schedule a practice. And then you schedule a practice with everyone with one team, and then one of their guys doesn't show up and they cancel at like 5 minutes before you're supposed to play. And your team's on and ready to play. Now you have to play normals because you guys aren't all the right level. So it makes it really hectic. So we are looking to do 1 day scheduled practice time so you can talk with other schools and scrim them during that time. Be like, hey, I got my 5 guys ready. Who's ready to go? In case a scheduled scrim during that time doesn't work out. So it would be a lot better, more conducive to making sure you play meaningful games of practice rather than just playing something like normal and practicing, overall strategy rather than actually playing competitive against another 5 competitive team.
Yep. Darkside011 says, who runs the Discord? So it's between Mr. Todd here, myself, and Amy Whitlock. And then I don't know if you have any other moderators on the chat as well.
Yeah, not at the moment. We haven't needed too many. We're definitely looking for a couple more, trying to be more sponsors rather than students, just because of the responsibilities of some of the stuff that's on there. We might take a student on if we see that they're active in chat and they're helping out, and they submit some paperwork to us that shows how responsible they are with a resume and a few other documents. But yeah, I mean, right now it's just us 3, and the whole point of that Discord is to create a community. We haven't had any real toxic issues in there, which is great to say, because usually with Discord, kids come in and then they really bring their toxicity from their other Discords in, and luckily we haven't had that yet, which is great to see. I don't think I've had to ban anyone at all from the server since it's been up, and I'd love to keep it that way. And I want to make sure that we are creating a community here and not just creating this group together that is always at odds. Like, we want to create this community and grow this as much as you guys want to be in it and play it.
Yep, definitely. Here's a good question. Is league payment via PayPal or other way?
Right now, PayPal for the moment. We're still trying to figure out a different way to do it, but we haven't been able to successfully do that yet. I don't want checks personally written out to me, so the PayPal is going to be the main way. We might, if we can, we'll work out a couple different ways to pay if that's not available for some schools. But that's where we're leaning towards right now, is just the PayPal.
Yep. I'm a long-time competitive gamer, plays almost all major esports titles, so I plan on being involved as much as I can. Almost 100 students. Wow. 100 students is a lot.
That's awesome.
That's a lot of kids.
Yeah, Rogue Leader, what school are you from? I don't think I remember him saying.
While you're typing, hi, I just got my computer this year, and I am joining the Crystal Lake Central League team as a senior. Well, welcome. Glenwood. From Glenwood.
Glenwood, good. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, my first just League of Legends meeting that I had to have 5 years ago, which was, more in the heyday of League, but our first League of Legends meeting had 100 kids show up just for League, no other game. We are a big school. At the time it was 3,000, but even still 100 kids, we were immediately the biggest club at school.
Yeah. Looks like you've got a question regarding your club here.
Yeah, Miro, that's more for the TAF stuff. This is more for the statewide stuff. So we can talk on Discord about that.
Will there be an official schedule for games? Sorry, I'm late to the meeting. Just in case this was answered already. No worries. We're free to answer. Do you want to go ahead, Todd?
Yeah. So nothing. Registration will start around Thanksgiving for the tournaments. The games will start in January. The games this year won't be a completely open schedule. We didn't mention that yet. There will be a game day. So either your league day or your Overwatch day will be on one day in a certain time period. It'll have to be finished. We're not doing the flexible scheduling as much this year because it kind of was a headache. And we had a lot of teams that had to forfeit because they couldn't agree to a time. And you don't want to see that happen. So we'd rather you guys have a sub play that day, or figure out the schedule ahead of time, call off of work. That way you're not like, well, I just called off work, but now the team didn't show up. And so now you get in trouble because another team didn't even show up, and now you don't even get to play or go to work and make the money. So we're looking to do more set days. We haven't picked them yet. And we'll float the practice days, the scrim days around to find out what works best for teams. I'll post a poll in there so we can figure out how to do that. Just because it's kind of crazy.
And then looks like here another question: is there a link for the IHSEA PayPal to submit the fees?
Not yet. When we do registration for the tournaments and for your school for
It'll be all
the
there.
year,
Yeah.
then we'll post it.
Yep.
There's
It'll
no
all
reason
the
to pay
information
us
will be on
yet.
there.
I'd rather just hang on to the money, start collecting it now. Say, hey, $5 now, $5 in before Christmas break, $5 when you come back. There, you pretty much have everything paid for and then some.
Yep. Then here, how do you determine who is on varsity?
So it's tough if you're not an actual player and you don't understand the game. You kind of have to rely, like I said earlier, on the students and take their opinion for it and see who works with the team. Sometimes you do have those cliques that don't want to let any outsiders in, but you might miss out on a good player because a group of four friends wants their fifth friend to play, but he might not be as good as the other guy. But it's their friend, so they want to play. So it's kind of hard. You have to make sure that you are able to be involved in it and say, hey, let's give this kid a try and see if he can do better. Because then you might create that relationship. You might be able to create them and turn them into lifelong friends after that.
Yeah.
But it's really hard if you're not a player to determine it and kind of have to leave it up to the students to do it. The other thing is you could possibly too is find a former student who might be willing to help coach or analyze and have them be a volunteer coach. That's what I'm trying to do with one of my students who graduated last year. I'm trying to get him in and get back to coach the Overwatch team because I don't know much about Overwatch as much as I need to on a competitive level, and he keeps up with it. He, is not the greatest Overwatch player, but he's willing to help and willing to run
Mhm.
practices and do all that. So that could be a really good opportunity is to get some of the kids that have graduated back in and invest into the program and
That's
help it keep
yeah.
growing. I mean, that's how
That
you got to where you are, right?
yeah. That's exactly my story. When I started, I helped start the program as a student. I was the one who showed interest, and I had my team behind me. And in my first few years, I didn't even take on a player role. I took on as a coach, and I let them play, and I did analyzing, and we had, and that's kind of flowing into what I want to talk about as far as how you determine who's on varsity. If you have a lot of kids that are really talented and really passionate and still want to be involved, but they don't feel like they want to be on a JV team, let them be a sub. Let them be a coach. Let them be an analyst because those positions were really important to us when we first started because we had a team of five that knew each other and that kind of we had a team of four just like you were saying we had a team of four and another fifth that they wanted to play with, so they came together, they proved themselves worthy, and the kids that wanted to get involved otherwise either jumped down to the JV team or they felt like they had so much game knowledge that they wanted to help the varsity succeed. So we had an analyst and we had myself as a coach. And then the next few years, kids kind of went back and forth between either JV varsity or actually leaving varsity to be a coach. So we had a lot of success in those first few years just doing that. So just make sure that the kids know that they can be involved in any way. It doesn't have to be just on varsity. Um, and like I said, that's how I got involved. My the sponsor over at Matia reached out to me and the assistant principal reached out to me and they offered me in my case very fortunate position to both work at the school full time and be um, the new esports coach, which i I to this day I don't know how it happened, but like I said, getting students involved is really important too because then they can move on to be a coach at a college level or even at professional level, and you're just making sure that you are furthering your responsibility as a sponsor to bring these kids up and make sure they succeed in life. So like it's happened to me, and I'm kind of on the right track because of it, and I have esports to thank for that. So I hope that we keep hearing these success stories from your kids and from our kids and from IHSEA, um, and everything related to that. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
now
definitely.
it's me.
That's exactly what my biggest suggestion is try to get kids to come back and help out with that. As for tryouts, tryouts are a headache to try and run, especially if you don't have the equipment at school to do it.
Yeah.
You basically just have to set a time and basically set up a schedule and saying, all right, U5 are playing against U5. at this time, and then kind of just keep video of it, possibly stream it. That way you can go back and watch the recording of it, and kind of analyze it from there. Or even have some of them stream it as well, so you can see their perspective if they're able to. I know I talked with a coach at our finals event, and he said instead of actually just standing behind them, I have all of them live stream. So I literally he would pull up like a multi stream, which he would watch all of their perspectives, so he can kind of tell exactly what they were doing at any given time, if they're in the right position, or if they were doing not doing something right at any time. Which that's not able for everyone to do, but the more you have streamed, the more video points you can do. It is a headache if you don't have the stuff at school, so you can literally talk with them with it. My suggestion would be have everyone play at home. If you're playing League, it's really easy to get the replay, and then you can bring it back to school for a second day of tryouts to go over the clips and go over the film and call out what you see and kind of say how everyone can get better, because even if they're not going to make the varsity team, you still want them to participate and want them to get better, so it's good to go over that tape with them. If you can at least have one machine that has League on it, you can always run a replay from anywhere, which would be really nice to do, and that's what we did a lot of times at practice, is just watch tape from the replays.
Yep, that's a good way to do that. Yeah, it's just tryouts in general are hard in esports for sure.
Yeah. Especially because it's not something that it's not like football tryouts. You can't see like who throws the best. There's so many different things going on at one time, and we all haven't been coaching long enough to be able to spot those things, and we haven't been playing these games long enough to spot them right off the bat and be like, oh, that guy is going to start because I can see he can do that. Right. I mean, I also weigh a lot on ranked games, not extremely heavily because it also depends on your character, but the students that play more ranked that end up higher ranked usually tend to lean a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But they might have a bad attitude, so you also have to check their game knowledge and attitude as well. That's it's not just that for sure. Yeah, it's not just how well they play, but check their game knowledge and check their attitude. If they're one person who just plays every day with friends and just does it, and just plays, doesn't necessarily mean they're the best. They could be a lot better they have all the game knowledge and have the right attitude for playing. So
yeah, that's true.
A lot of my players, when they actually start playing, if I have like a silver level player, by the end of a year or two, they're somewhere near plat, just because of all the drills and all the things we have done and all the game knowledge we've gone over. My students write a paper for their first tryout, explaining their champions and how they play the game. So they don't even get to touch a machine until they write this information down for me, so that I know that they know what they're talking about first. So
right. I agree with keeping the dates, because last year on the Overwatch team there were games where it was 4v6. Yeah, so you just got to make sure that we make sure that kids can call off and all that. So yeah, we did talk about that already. It also helps a lot with roles as well. For example, Overwatch teams would love to have people that play healers because they're the most needed role. So yeah, same thing with supports in League. It's like
I think top lane is the new support though. I think most people don't want to play top, and there's more people that want to play support. I feel.
I thought that was AD. I thought AD was dead. Anyway, whatever that may be. Whatever that may be. Yeah. So I think that's a good way to kind of wrap this up, unless other people have some more questions or.
Yeah, I mean, I do have two other announcements that I want to cover that are kind of important. We want to get started on it now. The first thing, if any schools are looking for jerseys, we do have a deal with Rageous Outfitters. I believe I posted a link in the announcements on the Discord, but I can do it again if you guys want it. But they'll give you a good price on jerseys, as well. It will also help support the IHSEA through this deal. That's how Taft got their jerseys. I don't have mine on yet. I wanted to get it, but I literally ran in and turned on the stream. So you'll see me later on. I usually wear my Taft jersey when we're here. But yeah, Roglier, I'll message you. Hit me up on Discord and I'll remember. Thank you for posting the link there.
Yep.
But yeah, so you can pick from any of those, any colors. You can put as many amount of logos on it as well. My team, I kind of had it modeled like the esports jerseys for the pros, so they have their real name, their full real name, as well as their online name, so that they can be seen elsewhere. We don't want just their online name, because we want other people to recognize who they are. So if you're getting scouted, you want them to know your real name, so when they look at your application, they're like, yeah, I watched that kid play. And we had a student design the logo as well, so it's kind of an all part of it. Just like on our Twitch stream, all the artwork done on Taft's Twitch is 100% done by a student who now has graduated, who's going to be the Overwatch coach. But he did all the work. So Ray, just hit him up. Any jerseys you buy from them will actually help support IHSEA. So if you like what you see, definitely do it. They are good quality. They do take some time to get done. I believe it's about 6-week turnaround after you get them final artwork. But they are good quality. I've had mine now for going on 5 years and still no problems with it. I usually wear it at least 10 to 15 times a year, depending on how many events we go to and what I feel like if we have stuff going on. I usually wear it anytime we participate in any events, any field trips we go on, and then also for like spirit days. I had my kids wear it. Some kids are still ashamed to do it, but I have my kids wear it on their game days when we have important playoff games or things like that, just to kind of let people know, hey, we're still here. Excuse me, we're a team, and we're performing well. So, the other announcement that I want to make sure is that everyone lets their athletic director know, or their activities director, depending on who's in charge, to go onto their IHSA account online, and they would click on their emerging activities and add your school to that list. We want to try and get as many schools on that list as possible. So if you can, let your athletic director know or talk to your sponsor and let them know, hey, we really need to get on this list. It tells the IHSA that, hey, we really want to participate. So even though you're participating in our tournament, that doesn't automatically qualify you to be registered for IHSA. Your athletic director, your activities director, whoever's in charge of the IHSA account online, they have to go and register it and change your school to be on there. I think when I checked, let me pull it up again, but I think when I checked on that list,
Yeah, we're not, for some reason, Matia's not on that list, but I
it resets every year. So if you were on there last year,
okay.
you have to do it every year. So
Okay,
you might have to hit them up again because they want to make sure that schools are still looking for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 schools. And like I said, we had 78 schools apply from last year to this year. And that's why I kind of wanted the new registration form. So I have a new list that actually has the times and dates to make sure that those schools are still interested. So I can say, go to them and be like, look, I have 100 schools that want to play. What are you guys going to do?
Yeah.
So
it's very, very important.
Yeah.
You guys add yourselves and go to your athletic directors and make sure that everybody in your administration understands that, esports is an emerging sport. It's an emerging activity.
Yep, and let them know that your school is interested. You guys have a club. You want to participate. That way, they officially know, because this could be an official activity through IHSA, and we would love for that to happen.
Yep.
Excuse me. Besides that, remember, don't forget to fill out the new registration form if you're here. Are you linking that again for me?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for
Thank
it.
you. I saw you moving. I figured you were heading for that. And then, like I said, me and Andy have to talk and figure out when we're going to do it again. There's a link for the registration form. So if you're haven't done it yet, go ahead and fill that out. But we will probably out with the next 2 to 3 weeks with another one and probably talk more about, we'll dive into this, how to make a team and how to go about starting a team if you don't already have one. We do want to thank everyone for being here today. It was really great to see you guys come out. And then let your friends, let your other schools know what is going on if they want to check us out. I want to make this a regular thing, and I want everyone to be here.
And to keep updated with what we're doing and when this next streams are, please follow us on Twitter. It's obviously on the stream as well, and I just linked it. So follow us on Twitter on IHSEA _org. That way you can keep updated as much as possible with any sort of news or events, and we retweet stuff from you guys all the time as well. So just make sure that you follow us and make your presence known, and then we'll be posting things shortly. So,
yep. Yeah, no problem. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us, either Discord or you have our email. You can also use my CPS email if you have it or if you need it. Just let me know, and I'll pass it on to you. I usually check my personal email, my school email all the time, and the IHSE email at least 2 to 3 times a day. If you need fast response, Discord is usually the best way to reach me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, I think we're all set.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, thanks everyone. We will see you in a couple weeks. If we have any more information, we'll send it on the Discord.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys. Have a good night.